Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Kayla J's Gospel Hour right here on WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live at wordradio.com. I am so excited to have this conversation with my guest. You know, it's the last Saturday, I almost said Friday, Lord Jesus. It's the last Saturday of the month, and you know what that means. It's time to have real love talk with Kim Love Jones, and I couldn't be more excited to bring her on. So, hey, Miss Kim, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Kayla, I'm glad to be back. This is always awesome for me. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I always ask people on a scale from 1 to 10 how they doing today, and today I think I'm about at a 7.
All right, all right, all right. Well, I'm about there too, right with you. So
You
we
about there
good.
too?
Yes, yes.
That's good. That's good. Because we're growing. We're always steadily trying to make it to that 10. So
Yes.
the psalmist said, "Lord, I'm trying to make 100. Lord, I'm just trying to make a 10 right now."
Right. No, that's right. What you say?
Yeah.
That is the truth. Just trying to make it through. I appreciate you so much, Kayla, for having me on your show. It's always such a blessing to my heart. I just wanted to tell you thank you once again because this is always awesome.
Listen, you're welcome. I'm always excited to bring you on because I love having conversational talk with you, and I like the way you always break it down for the people. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Uh, Today I want to talk about love and loss. We I'm in a season of mourning and grieving, and the pandemic has given a lot of folks a season of mourning and grieving, whether it's a physical death or a relationship death. So I really want to talk about how that affects love. Sometimes affects love languages. Sometimes people feel that you should no longer love a person, especially if they're physically no longer here. And then some
Mhm.
people feel the absolute opposite way, that you can
Mhm.
still love them and honor them and cherish them. So I really want to dig deep down into the nitty gritty of that today. So I want to start off talking about this. Uh, when you're in a platonic relationship, a friendship, for me, I just had the loss of my spiritual mother. Uh, how do you handle that with love?
Just by being who you are, by honoring the relationship that you had or that you were in. Um, I think about that as it pertains to me losing my mom, my biological mom, right? And how it makes me feel. Some days I'm so down because I miss her and I love her, and my love for her is never going to die, right? But how do I honor her? How do I honor the love that I have for her? So I have to ask myself that question frequently, probably more frequently than at this point I probably should. But there is no time limit to grief, right? When you're hurt, you're hurt, and it is what it is. And you just have to give yourself time and allow yourself to feel what you feel, be in the headspace that you're in, honor where you are. If you're hurting, it's okay. And and then eventually it gets better, because I remember when I lost my mom, I didn't think, honestly, I didn't think anybody was going to be able to get me up off the floor. And to be honest, I'm quite proud of myself, because loss is loss. It always hurts when you, especially because death is permanent. You know what I'm saying? Um, Prayerfully, we're going to see each other on the other side. And I mean that by recognizing each other, not just knowing where we're going, but recognizing each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we get on the other side in heaven, right? That I would see my mother again, but or anybody else, or my dad. I lost my dad. But with that being said, it still, it eases a little bit with time. But that's just one of those things. Like, how do you stop that? You honor it. Honor how you feel, because death is permanent, you know? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow. You gave us a lot to think about there. Really want to piggyback of, you know, we know that death is permanent, and you said to just honor them. It's all right to feel how you feel. When we think about just platonic love, the love of a family, agape type of love, uh, how does that honoring look and feel? You know, we have folks that do tributes, and that's wonderful. We have some people who just go to the grave site and put flowers down. That's wonderful. And then you have the ones that love on them as if they're still here. Uh,
Mm.
which one, if any, is the correct way? Or how do you think, should I say, we should go about that love of the lost one?
Well, you know what? Okay, so we're Christians, right? And I remember someone of who I absolutely love and respect to the highest, saying to me, "Kim, we don't grieve the same when we're Christians, right?"
Mm.
Um, and I respect that, but I was like, "Okay, but your mother's still here, talk to me." And I don't mean that in any disrespectful way. um getting prepared, and being, each person is different, so people will grieve how they grieve, and I'm not so sure that there's any correct or incorrect way to grieve somebody that you love, right? You need to take as much time as you need to if you need to go to the gravesite and just sit by yourself after all is said and done, if that makes you feel better. Do what makes you feel good. Do what honors you, right? And don't forget that our loved ones, if they die in Christ, right? You already know.
Yeah.
Like that's that's a time of rejoicing, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so somebody said to me, Kim, grief is very selfish. And it is, right? Because in the grief, really what we're doing is we're missing, and we don't want to lose them. We want them to be here with us forever, right? And we never want them to leave. But it says in Ecclesiastics that there's a season for everything. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
even when, even in my hardest times, and I'm thinking about my mom, I always rush back to the thought that God is sovereign, right?
Mm.
Because if I don't, that I can find myself lamenting there and feeling like, kind of like a bump on a log, like, I've lost my best friend, God, and I do not know what to do. And but I rush back to the sovereignty of God, right? But whenever I get back to the sovereignty of God, and that comes into my mind, into my heart, into my spirit, um, whenever I get there is when I get there. You understand what I'm saying? But the end result, so it doesn't matter how I go on. It doesn't matter if I'm waking up 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm still crying. It doesn't matter if I want to go and sit at the graveyard and stay out there, and go day after day after day, if that's going to ease my heart. But at the end of the day, God is sovereign. And that's how
Yes.
I, kind of can coalesce my thoughts around some peace about my mom not being here, and that's the only way, because it's very difficult otherwise.
It is. It's very difficult. Very
Yeah.
difficult. I appreciate you going down that road right there of being transparent. Also talking about the loss of your mom, because it was soothing to me. I don't know who else is out there that's listening, that is grieving the loss of a parent or a special loved one. But I want to transition a little bit, and get into some deep relationship talk. You know, let's talk about that widowed woman whose
Mm,
husband is now gone, or that
right.
widowed man
Mm,
whose wife is now gone,
mm,
right?
mm,
And we know folks be like, "Oh, they're widow. They should take some time." And I've seen some widows that get married before a year has passed, or
mm,
I've seen some widows that don't ever again get married.
right.
How do they transition their love?
How do they transition their love? Hmm. by, I don't know, I think that they would transition their love by loving on those that are around them. What was very comforting and soothing for me, once again, I do not have that as an example for my own personal life. But what was comforting to me was to see the kids that were around me, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they were singing like songs because they were my one of my closest friends grandkids, and they were singing all of these songs about the Lord, and all of this stuff, and that was blessing my heart, and it gave me comfort in my time of need. So by surrounding myself, right, with people who give me some semblance of joy would make me happy. I don't know about going out and getting remarried. I don't know about going back out and actually getting into a relationship. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because relationships require a lot of work, and you have to be mentally and emotionally prepared for that. And just coming out of losing a spouse, sometimes for 20, 30, 40 years, now you're going to start back up again, or you want to start dating again. We're talking about an older, seasoned woman, right? That may not be in it, because she might say, "Oh, honey, go ahead. I don't want to do that no more," that kind of thing, right? Whereas, somebody that's younger may say, after about 5 or 6 years, they may say, "Okay, I'm ready," or 2 or 3 years, "I'm ready," whether it's male or female. And men don't necessarily want to be alone. Once a married man loses his wife, he usually wants to get remarried quickly,
Wow.
because he's used to having a companion. So much sooner than women, right? Women might take, 6 years before they even want to date anybody or talk to anybody else. But men, once they're accustomed to having a partner and companion, they want to get remarried right away. They see the benefit in it. A lot of men. Yeah.
Well, I'm sitting here and I'm trying to think of men who I know were widowed, and it's just like, yeah, yeah, they remarried. I
Yeah.
never really put two and two together like that.
Yeah. Yeah. They really ready. They're like, "No, I don't want to be alone." I think women struggle with being alone. I don't struggle with being alone. They're like, "No, I don't think so." So it's interesting little factoid. Now that since we talked about that, interesting little factoid. Men live longer when they're married. Women don't. Wrap your head around that one.
Wow.
Men live longer when they're married. Women don't. That's a Google fact. Google it.
She blowing minds today, y'all. She blowing minds. I Wow.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness.
Okay.
So men want to, yeah, they rush to, if they're the marrying kind, they're gonna go back and get married real quick, usually. So, I mean, there you go. I mean, it just depends on who it is, what the situation and circumstances around it, and that's it.
That's really interesting. That's really interesting because in the church, we we look at them a certain way. I was trying to find real. We look at people a certain way when we know that their loved one died and they remarried,
Uh huh.
especially if it's not for what we feel is the appropriate amount of time.
Right. The shenanigans is what you're talking about.
The shenanigans,
The
yes.
shenanigans, right? Okay, go ahead.
It is just amazing to even listen to the fact that you said that once a man is accustomed, you know they're going to have to find another person, another mate.
They want a companion, absolutely. Because
That's
because because a man that finds a wife finds a good thing. We know this. Like, this is
right.
simple. And so, because he has somebody that's gonna assist him, somebody that's gonna help him out around the house, somebody that he can talk to. You get used to having a partner, right? You get used to having, the love of your life in your life. And maybe the next one is not, quote unquote, the love of his life. Maybe it is. Maybe it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But regardless to whom or what, The reality of the situation is that he wants a partner. He wants somebody with whom he can share his life. You know?
That makes me want to go into soulmates, but we're gonna save that for another time because I really want to
Yes.
finish talking about love and loss here. So we talked about the widow. Now let's talk about just the loss of a relationship. It's funny to me that I in preparing for this, I always like to open my mind to everything, and what I usually do is I just go and watch about an hour worth of TV before I record, so I can just feel loose, put nothing in my head but what's about to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching this episode of Young Sheldon that just premiered, and the his twin sister, they're 13 years old. She just had her first breakup, and she's
Mm-hmm.
she's crying her little eyes out, and she's
Mm-hmm.
hating on everybody. And it made me think about a lot of times that I've broken up with someone, and the same reaction. You're crying, you feel like your life is over.
Right, 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 right,
Let's just talk about that. I don't know how it is for men, because I'm not a guy.
right, right, right.
But I know for young women and young girls, when that breakup hit, especially if it's someone that you said I love you to.
Right, right, right. It's horrible until it's not. I'll
Yeah.
say that. It's horrible until it's not. And you wake up one day and it's not. Like it's just not. I mean, it was horrible when it happened. It was like, oh my God, I can't believe this, blah, 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 that kind of thing. And it's horrible until it's not. I mean, relationships, right? We do go through this and men go through it too, but the difference is that men, while they might share and they might get angry and they might get frustrated the same way that women do, I don't really think that there's not much of a difference when men love versus when women love. Women bounce back faster than men, right? So when you talk
Mm.
about loss, they do. Men will stay. Like you hurt them, and it might take them 25 years to come back before they'll ever, when they seriously hurt, right? Women, we bounce back quickly, sometimes, right? Um, but dealing with the loss of any relationship, it's a mourning. You're grieving. You're grieving just like as if you lost, once again, your spiritual mom, my mom. It could be that serious because death is so final. So if I were to lose my husband, I would be just as devastated if it were to death, right? As I was if it was to divorce, right? And because they both hurt equally as bad, it's still grief. There are stages to this, right? And so it's the same thing when if it's a boyfriend. It's the same thing because you have soul ties, if you've been intimate, right? Um, Sometimes we can be so naive when we're young. I don't know the show that you were talking about, but I can be, when we were young, we could be so naive as to believe, this, oh, they're going to meet me, I'm going to date, we're going to get married, and everything is going to be wonderful and great, right? But
Right.
we don't ever take into consideration, almost it's a fairy tale, right? And you can be so naive when you're young that you think, wow, this is it. This is my husband. And, you could be 17 and that can happen. And you could think, oh, we're about to get married and everything's going to be amazing. Not 13. I don't even know where that's coming from, but whatever. Right.
Right.
And you get to this place when you really know, like, wow, and it hurts. It doesn't even really matter whether it's a physical death. Loss is loss. And you
Yeah.
still have to go through the stages, of grief, right? So, did I answer your question?
It did. It answered it just a bit. But want to dive back into, you know, when breakups happen, right? You
Mm-hmm.
said that it'll still be like grief, but
Mm-hmm.
you love that person. What if you feel like that was the one and you will always love that person?
That's
And
okay too. That's okay too. It doesn't just because, see, here's the thing. Okay, now I get it. I get it. Okay. There is a difference between love and infatuation. And I promise you, every person that is listening to this broadcast has felt like they were in love. They have felt like, oh my God, I'm never going to get through this. It's never going to do this, this, that, and the third, right? Whatever that thing is that we consider love at this stage in our life, let's say, just like she was 13, right? By the
Yes.
time she's 25 or 20 or 23, 10 years later, right? She has a whole new idea of what love is in her heart and in her mind, right? So she's 23. Wait till she gets 33. There's some evolution and some transformation as per how you really love. It's just like when the Bible says in the Bible, like we're being transformed by the renewing of our mind through each relationship. And I tell people this all the time: relationships produce revelation about who you are, right?
Mm.
Because we're always so as you relate to different people, whether it's your boss, your parents, your siblings, uh, 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 regular relationship, romantic, right? There's evolution happening at every point. And you're learning how to love more deeply and more profoundly. You're learning how to be set free if you're lucky, if you're blessed, right? If you're blessed, right? Because a lot of people will get stuck and say, I ain't never doing that no more. I'm not going to allow myself to feel that anymore. I'm not going to allow myself to be vulnerable, right? But there's a difference between what we initially call love and what love really is in its highest form. And I'm not even talking about the agape, which we don't have the capacity to give, right? We really don't. I mean, we're human, right? We're not, we aspire, but we're not God, right?
Right.
So but what I am talking about is that there are even stages to love, right? And
Yeah.
there's areas where you begin to grow and you begin to see that love is really unselfish. It's like you can love somebody, right? Okay, just like you mentioned, you can love somebody and then turn around, Kayla, and because you're not with them, you still love them immensely. And what you want is you want the absolute best for them, even if it's not you.
Yeah.
That's now when you start putting the your stop putting your will before the love. When you can love somebody in spite of, when you start to do stuff like that, now you're really loving someone. But very few people love like that, because love is not love is putting down your will and letting them be who they are, right?
That whole submissive thing they talk about.
Not really even being
Not
submissive.
really?
No, it's not really submission. You know what it is? It's a matter of saying, I want you. What did Christ say? Laying your life down for a friend, right? I want you to have what is going to make you happy over and above my will for me wanting to be with you, right? I
Mm.
surrender trying to control the narrative, right? I'd rather you, even if you with somebody else, I just want you to be happy. That's how much I really love and care about you,
Wow.
right? And to
Yeah.
so because it's no longer I'm not connecting myself to the outcome. I am going to, I'm allowing myself to be free enough to allow you to be whoever it is that you are. That's what love is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm not trying to control you. I'm not telling you you got to do this. I'm not trying to make you do that. I'm not trying to, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just want you to be the whatever you need to be in order for you to be happy. Right? And so now that's the kind of love I'm talking.
That's good love.
That's amazing, but
That's
most
good
people
love.
don't know how to do that. And so in loss, right, we go, oh my God, I lost something. I lost something. Oh my God, they walked away from me. But maybe they needed to. Maybe they're not ready for you. Maybe they don't have the capacity to love you the way that you need to be loved, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's what's best for them. Maybe they need to take a minute to get their heads right. Maybe they need to find peace in themselves, right? First, right? Or maybe they haven't been treating you haven't been treating each other the best. Sometimes it's better if you walk away. If you love somebody, let them go. Let them go. Let them find their way.
Now you open that door, and our time is almost up, but I want to go to that place right there. What if you're the one that know you have to leave, and you're just afraid of the loss that they're going to feel, or you're afraid of your loss, like you need some growing, but you've been so attached to this person, you're afraid to hurt them because you love them so much. What about
Mm,
that type of loss where you know it's not good for you? You know that y'all need to go apart,
mm,
but you're
mm.
afraid to do that.
Okay, well, okay. So the only way to keep something is to give it away, right? The only way to keep something is to give it away. When you feel like you are absolutely at your wits' end and you know that this is no good for you, but you continue, right, um, to be afraid to let it go, you're operating from a place of lack. It's not an ending as much as it is a new beginning,
Mhm.
right? Because that's really what it's about. You
Right.
want to be able to begin again, and if you're afraid and you hold on to something, you're never going to get what you need. They're never going to get what they need because you're constantly trying to hold on to and hoard everything, right? But when you get to the point that you begin to understand that whatever you love, you just set that thing free. It's a game changer. It really is
Yeah.
a game changer. And that may not seem like it's the right answer, but when you have an abundance mindset, you know that at the end of the day, no, you don't want to hurt them, but you know that this is what's best for them. It's like a mother and her children. Well, a lot of people these days are friends with their kids, but mothers do what's best. You know what I'm saying? For everybody
Right.
involved, right? And even when it hurts, you got to tell your kid, no, you can't do that. No, that's not going to work. And you do what's necessary in order to help them. Sometimes we get so caught up, if you will, right? That we want to try our best to try to, now we're going to put the square peg into the round hole. No, no, sweetheart. No, you have to take a moment to understand what it is and then be honest about it. Be honest about what's going on in the relationship. If it's not good for you, be honest about the fact that you need to walk away and don't be afraid because it's really not an ending, it's more than it is a new beginning. It's just the way that you view it, right? And I hope
Hmm.
that all made sense right there.
No, that did make sense. We got about maybe 2, 3 more minutes. So, any closing remarks for the people with about love and loss?
I would just simply say to allow yourself to love, allow yourself to be set free. Do not get caught up in time frames or trying to control when stuff should be happening. Um, Allow yourself to be free. Allow yourself to be free. Allow them to be free, right? Because love is not bondage.
Ooh,
Love is not bondage. It's freedom.
wow.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a line right there to go out. Love is not binding, is free.
It's not bondage. It's freedom.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah. Love is freedom.
love is freedom.
Yeah.
Miss Kim, let the folks know how they can contact you. Let them know about your books, because not only is she a relationship expert, she is an author. So make sure you support her. So let them know how they can do that.
Okay. You can reach out to me at Kim Love Jones on Facebook.com, Real Love Jones on IG. My phone number is 516-513-8049. You can reach me at reallovejones.com and you can purchase my book, Perfectly Imperfect, The Key Principles to having your best relationship ever, from Amazon or Barnes and Nobles or wherever you'd like to order it from. Okay? Yeah. Kayla, I appreciate you so much, sis, for having me on the show. I love this. I love our time together.
And I appreciate you coming on each and every month. My heart is always filled every time you come. It really
I'm
is.
glad. I'm grateful. I am so grateful. This was awesome. You
It
you
was.
you you made me kind of like, pull out too, because it's important to understand that not all loss, real talk, is, about an ending, is more than it is about the beginning. And I think that that's important. So would I go back and get my mom from heaven because I wanted to be selfish? Probably. But I know that my mom is enjoying her stay. And why
Right.
would I want to take her away? You know what I mean? She's
I
got a new
understand exactly
beginning.
what you
She's
mean.
been transformed. She has transitioned. Yes. Yes.
That's confirmation for me. I heard that same thing earlier this week, at the beginning of this week. So I know that that is confirmation for me right there. Miss Kim, again, thank you so much for joining me on the show. I can't wait to have you back next month.
I can't wait to be here. All right, Kayla. It's been so much fun, baby. You have a blessed day.
You too. Folks, again, that's Kim Love Jones here every month for Real Talks with Kim Love Jones, talking about relationship, all the different types of relationships that one might have. But right now, it's time to get back to the music. You're listening to Kayla J's Gospel Hour right here on WURD.